I've been looking for a way out. I can't find my way now. I just need you by my side. Lately, I've been thinking, baby, we could get away and never look back. Never look back. Never look back. No, never look back. Never look back. No. There's no place to be, 'cause we're gone. When you're staring back at me, 'cause we're gone. And you're staring back at me. And you're staring back at me.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you type in exclamation point if you are hearing me clearly? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Type in. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of exclamation point right now. I want to feel the energy in the room. If you can type in where you're from and also the industry that you're in. Sige nga, type lang natin. I see one is from Ilocos and one is from Tarlac. How about the rest? What industry and also from where are you watching? Calamba. We have one from Calamba, Pampanga, Makati. All right. We have Manila, Butuan, Batangas, Butuan City, Montalban. Ang dami. One is from healthcare. We have one from Mandaluyong, Butuan, Makati, all over the Philippines. Good afternoon, everyone. Please type in exclamation point if you can see me. Thank you very much for those who are continuously putting their place of. Okay. Sorry, can you see me now? So we have Checky from Cebu City. All right. Let me just check if you can. All right, there you go. I'm just going to reset my camera because a lot of you are placing here that you can't see me. I'll turn it off and I'll turn it on, and then please type in yes if you can see me. All right, so. Can you type in yes if you can see me now? No if, okay, let me see what I can do here. Audio is choppy, okay. I'll just try to fix this if you can hold on for a minute. There you go. I'm sorry for the technical glitch. I'm still not seeing myself, and also you guys are typing in no. I'm working with fix the issue. Let's see. Okay, so I was asked to leave the studio and then to join again. If you can just stay where you are, and we'll try to fix this. So I will leave the studio for a while. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. So we tried to fix it and have you see me in this on the screen, but then it didn't work out. So what we're going to do is to flash the PowerPoint and then audio na lang tayo. Now, I would just like to know if you can hear me loud and clear. Yan na lang, no? Loud and clear ba? So exclamation point if you hear me loud and clear. Okay. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, loud and clear. Thank you very much for bearing with us. Again, I would like to thank each one of you for being here this afternoon. I know that some of you are already on vacation mode. Malapit na ang undas. So I'm sure a lot of you are already in vacation mode, but you still chose to spend your time with me and also level up your skills in terms of communicating well with other people. And one skill that you should learn is, of course, to become an effective listener. So very quickly, I'm Suzette. I'll be your facilitator for today, and I would like to share with you my video intro so that you'll know what are the past projects that I had and also for you to know me better. Thank you. Okay, so I really want to feel the energy. A while ago, I asked you to put where you're from, and also our audience is all the way, all around from the Philippines. So may mga taga Cebu, Iloilo. We have one from Davao, okay, and that's good. So I want this afternoon to be a successful afternoon, successful webinar, despite of the technical glitch. And I would want to see you put your hands up and shout success, but as of the moment, we can't do that. So just an exclamation point, 3 exclamation point if you want this afternoon to be a success. Yan, okay? Para maramdaman ko lang ulit yung inyong excitement. All right? So 3 exclamation points, please. From Mona, my apologies, it's supposed to be October 30. Ayan, lots of exclamation point. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Webinar reminders, I want you to be prepared to maximize the chat box. Also participate in the poll questions, and also we'll be having a Q&A session after this. And sizzle at me if you like what I'm saying, but as of now, our videos are turned off, so we can't do that. So dito lang talaga tayo sa chat box mag-i-interact. Now, our title for this webinar is the 10 ways to become an effective listener. And listening really is a rare skill, but you know, it's the skill that we need the most today, especially in the situation that we are in right now. It's also ironic that now that we're more connected than ever before, na-experience natin yung what we call epidemic of loneliness. Is it your first time to hear this? Or if it's your first time, isn't it ironic, lahat tayo more connected now, pero marami pa rin nalulungkot. Not only because of the pandemic, but also because of the population. It is been aging, really retreat to their phones and to their... We are talking about listening. It's one of the hindrances that keeps us from
Empty streets, but I keep searching for your trace in the dark. Losing myself in the endless memories of the end right from the start. You're an obsession in my head, I can't forget your eyes. Your kisses burn my skin, I feel so empty inside.
All right, testing my audio again. Testing 1, 2, 3. Type in yes if you can hear me now loud and clear. Type in yes if you can hear me or if the audio has improved. Okay, thank you. So we'll start where we left off. And as I've mentioned a while ago, Listening is a rare skill, but it's the skill that we need the most, especially in the situation that we are in today. Again, thank you in advance for staying with me despite the time that has passed due to the technical difficulties. And since listening is a rare skill that's happening now among us, especially the young generation. Ako, may anak ko na 25 years old. Medyo hirap ako kasi yun nga, sobrang busy sa computer, sa cellphones, and all that. So, the reason why I started sharing with you this listening skill is because that for us to have a good communication, we must master the art of listening. I just want you to look at this conversation that happened between a customer, a manager, and a designer. And let me know if you think the flow of the conversation between the three is positive or negative. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's do this. So the customer said, "Hello, my name is Dave Fernandez. I would like to get my calling cards printed for my business." The manager said, "Thank you, Mr. Fernandez, for considering our organization for your requirement. My name is Joshua Santos, and I'm the manager. Do you have any idea about the design of the card in your mind?" The customer goes, "Yes, I would like a card that has my company logo on the left-hand corner, and the upper part of the card should have a red band across it. The font type should be stylish." Yeah, and the manager said, "Sure, sir. We will surely design a card the way you want it. I will get my designer to get a sample-proof card ready for you. It will be ready in a week's time. You can have a look at it, and then we can go ahead with the printing." And then the customer said, "That's great. Let me know when the sample card is ready." The manager said, "Certainly, sir." And now the manager talks to the designer. "Peter, we have a requirement of a business card to be printed for a customer. He wants the card to have stylish font. The company logo should appear in the corner. The card should have a red band running across upper half of the card." And the designer said, "Sure, sir, we'll get that sample ready." My question to you is, just by looking at how the conversation went, is this a good flow of conversation or not so good flow of conversation? Might as well rate it 1 if it's not a good flow of conversation, and the highest would be 10 if it's a good flow of conversation. Ibig sabihin, kompleto ba? Naintindihan ba ng isa't isa yung gusto nilang maintindihan? Not so good, says Honey. Faye, not so good flow, very good. How about the rest? I would have to agree with everyone who said not so good. Andrew says 4, yes. 3, 4, 3. What made it not so good? What made it a 3? Bakit? Kasi walang nagtanong, di ba? Walang nagtanong. So, hindi maganda yung kinalabasan. Let's all see. So, the customer have this in mind. Ito yung itsura ng calling card na gusto niya. Okay, sabi ni Lane Jane, it's incomplete. I agree with you. Now, the designer had this in mind. And let's see what the manager have in mind. And this is what the manager had in mind. So, iba-iba, di ba? If you were the customer, what would you feel? Eh, dumating sa'yo, okay, on time siya, pero pagdating ng card, iba. Will you be frustrated? Or will you be happy with the outcome? Of course not. So communication really is a very important tool that we need to have, and there are a lot of elements that we need to hone, or skills that we need to hone. So look at the 3 cards. They're all different from what customer originally wanted, right? Ibang-iba. What happened there? What happened there? Due to improper communication between the 3 people involved, the customer's goal of calling card hasn't been met. What else happened? There's lack of proper communication. What else happened? In both cases, there is a loss to business and a hassle to the customer. You promised the date, the delivery date, but then you didn't concentrate on the output. Ano ba yung gusto talaga ng customer? So again, we don't want this to happen. And on the whole day session of strengthening interpersonal communication that I will be doing for Limitless Power Coach on November 2026, I will be discussing the whole of it. But for now, I wanted to start with mastering the art of listening. So what is the meaning of listening? Listening is important in any conversation. Why? Because it helps us better understand the viewpoint of the other party or the one that you're speaking to. And then, how else is this important? We always confuse listening with hearing. Ano nga ba ang difference ng hearing sa listening? We have to know the difference so that we will be aware, ano ba ako madalas? Hearing or listening ba yung ginagamit ko? So let's define it. Hearing is defined as the sense that allows you to perceive sound by the ear. It means that you're just sensing the sound, feeling the sound. However, listening involves a process. It involves a mental process that requires us to concentrate on the sound, lets us or allows us to derive meaning from it, and also reacting to it. So that's the difference between listening and hearing. So if a friend goes to you at naghihinga ng sama ng loob, at ang sagot mo lang sa kanya o tapos, without really looking at her. O tapos lang ang sinasabi natin sa kanya, okay, go on, nakikinig ako, but you're looking at your phone. Your phone. Is that hearing or listening? Of course, that's hearing, and we do not want that. Gabrielle said, listening is absorbing the information, yes. And when we say absorbing, what are we talking about here? We are talking about the voice, the words, the body language of the person that we are talking to. So yun ang kaibahan ng listening sa hearing. Now, my question to you is, do you have an SINL disorder? Of course, ginawa ko lang to. That means, sorry, I'm not listening. I'm sometimes guilty of this, especially if I'm so busy and then someone comes up to me, tapos may tatanungin sa akin, sinasabi ko, sorry, hindi ako nakikinig. Diba? Sorry, I'm not listening. That's okay siguro pag paminsan-minsan. But if you say that, most of the time, hindi nakagandahan yun. Because maraming nasasayang na oras kung uulitin pa natin siya, di ba? And if you have SINL disorder, it's basically not getting quality communication. We do not listen and we do not pay attention. So assess yourself. Are you a good listener with all of your customers? Or you're just good with your customers in terms of listening, but not with your family, or but not with your friends? Right? It's a big responsibility to be listening to someone, whether it be your coworker, your family, or your friends. Napaka-importante nito. And so, we'll talk about the distractions, because what's stopping us from listening? What are the blocks to being an effective listener? It might be toys. And when I say toys, I'm referring to the gadgets. And we're seeing more and more of this, di ba? Do you agree with me? Mas marami tayong nakikitang ganito, especially I just want to share with you, I went to the province and we went to the park and I saw the mom and dad really busy with their phone. Tapos yung anak nila, nagtatantrum sa floor. Now, they didn't even go to the child, patahanin man lang, hindi. Sobrang busy sila dun sa phone nila. So, that's one distraction also, di ba? Yung toys and gadgets natin to us to really focus with other people. In this case, yung anak niya. Sobrang nagtatantrums to the point na gusto na naming tulungan yung bata. So that's one What else is distracting us from listening? Next would be voices. What are these voices? I remember in one of my webinars, one of the webinars that I attended, there was one moderator who had a very squeaky voice, yung ang taas ng boses. So, kung pwede lang, if I really wanted to put her on mute because of her voice, masyadong mataas, masakit sa tenga. So, that might be another distraction, or pwede namang kabaliktaran. Hindi nga malakas ang boses. Sobrang kung kulang na lang, mag-hearing aid ka. So, that's another distraction as well. What else can be a form of distraction or hindering us from our responses? And we are all guilty of this. Sometimes when we talk to someone, you're not really paying attention, but you're paying attention with what you're going to say next. Type in yes if you're guilty with this. O, guilty ba kayo dito? May kausap tayo, hindi mo na napapakinggan kasi gusto mo nang sabihin yung advice, gusto mo na agad siyang tulungan. This is the most common distraction that we are experiencing. Because just to share with you, we can speak 125 words per minute, but we can listen 4 times as fast as that. Yan, so sa marami nagsasabi, no, guilty, yes, minimemorize mo pa minsan eh. Minsan kahit asawa mo, partner mo yung kausap mo, pag alam mong magkakaroon kayo ng argument, ready ka na sa mga sagot mo, di ba? Pag ito sinagot niya, ito. Pag ito ang tinira niya sa akin, ito sagot ko. But why don't you stop and listen? O makinig muna tayo. Tingnan natin kung baka naman may point siya. Okay, so your response sometimes is one of the biggest distraction to listening. What else? Your mind is elsewhere. That's why you're not paying attention. Like for example, attending a webinar and then it's already 12 noon. Your mind is elsewhere. Saan na kaya napupunta yung mind natin? 12:00 na eh. Malamang iniisip natin kung ano yung lunch natin, di ba? So then, it's a cause of you not paying attention to the speaker. Next would be personal issues. Personal issues could be you might have lack of sleep, napuyat ka sa kakatrabaho kagabi. So then, pagpunta mo sa office, parang yung term ng mga millennial term yun, sabaw, di ba? Sabaw ka kasi yun nga, puyat ka kagabi. So it affects the way you listen. Or lack of motivation, perhaps because you're anxious or you're anxious about something or frustrated about something. So that's another distraction. What else can be a distraction? You just don't care. You just don't care what the other person is saying. Hindi ka interesado eh. Ito yung pinakamasaklap dito. That's why listening is a very important skill to master because it shows that you respect the other person. So if what's distracting you most of the time is that don't care attitude, then you really have to do something to improve it. You have to assess yourself. And that's what I want you to do now. Assess yourself in terms of how you pay attention to the people that you're talking to, whether in your professional life or personal life. Okay? There's also another attitude that hinders us from listening. Narinig ko na yan. I heard it all. So I don't need to listen. I don't need to pay attention. And there are a lot more. So my gift to you now is the 10 ways to become an effective listener. The first one is you have to choose to listen. I have coaches, I have participants who tell me that they're not built to listen. Paano yun, Suzette? I'm not built that way. Gusto ko lang nagmo-motivate. Gusto ko lang nagsasalita. Gusto ko lang ma-influence lang yung mga kasama ko. Pero in terms of listening, I'm not built that way. Well, here's the deal. A lot of us are not wired to listen, but we are all wired to make choices. Yun ang kinaiba natin. We are part of the animal kingdom, but yun ang kinaiba natin sa animals. We are given the gift of knowledge. Meaning, ibig sabihin, pwede tayong mamili. We're free to make our own choice. So we have the choice to listen better or just make an excuse of why we are not listening. Yun yung nakakatakot. If you're getting good at it, ay, hindi ako nakinig kasi ang lakas ng radyo. Hindi ako nakinig kasi na-distract ako dito sa email na na-receive ko. Reasons, excuses. Now, even if I give you many techniques on how to become an effective listener, mawawalang bisan or walang kwenta yun if you do not choose to listen. Now, I'm not expecting you to be perfect at this right away, but I'm hoping that after this session today, you will make naman every effort to improve. That's what I'm hoping for. Yung makita, masabi niyo lang sa sarili niyo na from this day on, I will be more conscious on how I pay attention. So again, it's all about choice, and we need to be accepting of that responsibility when we choose to listen. Next would be pay attention. We need to pay attention. We need to suspend our own needs while we listen. And there are a lot of elements that can help us pay attention. Number one would be empathize. What is the meaning of empathy or empathize? Ano ba yung madalas na or famous meaning ng empathize? Type it into the chat box, please. What is empathy? What is empathy? I'll give you time to type it into the chat box. Putting yourself in one's shoes. That's Gabrielle. Thank you. Okay, what about the rest? What about the rest? Shows concern, says Mark Joseph. That's correct. Concern to others. Anna Maria, thank you. What else? Okay. Concern, feeling the same as others do, Cleofe, makidamay ka, tama. Be one with the other, understanding what other think or they feel, tama, sabi ni Cherry Lou. So the words that I'm getting here are concern, makidamay, understanding, and of course, putting yourself in others' shoes. So we understand what empathy means. And if you have this, you will be able to pay attention quickly. Okay, so if you're going to improve your empathy, naturalmente, you will definitely be a good listener. Mataas ang chance mo to develop or to sustain this listening skill if you already have it. Next would be confirming or responding. Why do I say that? Because if you want to respond to the person that you're talking to, you have to show that you confirm what they are saying. How do you confirm what they are saying? It's inappropriate to say, When, halimbawa, negative yung kinikwento sa'yo, bilang ang sagot mo is, okay, halatang hindi sincere, di ba? So that means that when you confirm or when you respond, it must be aligned with your facial expression. It also must be aligned with what the other person is saying. Next would be, it will help you to pay attention if you are to be non-judgmental of others. Meron nga tayong expression ngayon, di ba? Uy, ikaw naman kung maka-judge. Uy, judger ka. So we're aware of that. We don't want other people to judge us. So if you haven't listened well, you might not hear the underlying feelings of, let's say, anxiousness of the other person, yung takot niya, or whatever it is the other person is feeling. So you jump into conclusions. Malungkot siya. Masaya siya. Ay, tinatamad siya. Gina-judge mo na agad yung nararamdaman ng tao. But when you listen well, it is easier to live out those conclusions, so that you'll be able to understand what the person is really telling you. Next would be deep listening. And this is really tough in our world today. Madali lang to kung face-to-face kayo. Face-to-face kayo, madali siyang ma-achieve. But then, if there are gadgets like phones, then it's hard to do deep listening. And it's really a challenge today, because ang mundo natin sobrang bilis ng paggalaw. kahit na nga yung mga ka-chat natin, di ba, minsan, no, when, let's say, for example, meron tayong nireklamo about our internet provider, for example, or for our Meralco bill, for example, ng height, yung mga reklamo natin, di ba? If you ever get on a chat online, para ma-solve yung problem, the service provider will really, you will feel that they scan it so fast. So even the words that you type, hindi nila masyadong pinoprocess kasi dapat marami silang maasikaso eh. So they're scanning so fast because they need to get the next call. Or they don't pay attention to what you type. Titignan lang nila yung word or yung problem, and then meron ka automatic na message na makukuha. So again, there are pros and cons to technology, and it hinders us from paying attention as well. Next would be understanding what's being said, okay, and how do we avoid how do we do that? First, we should avoid selective listening, because, well, sometimes you're guilty of this. We might not even actually hear what's being said. Yung pag sa friends natin, 100% ka. Pero pag minsan, I'm not saying all, for example, sa boss mo, hindi ka 100%. Or pwede namang kabaliktaran. With your boss, 100% ang listening level mo. But with your friends and family, kabaliktaran, siguro mga 10% lang. You know, I can raise my hand here. Sometimes I'm guilty of this. I'm better at listening on some days, pero may mga days, lalo na pag ang dami sobra ng problema na face natin every day, we do selective listening, ba? So, makikita natin yan sa family natin. Minsan sobra silang focus with what they're doing. But when you scream, pizza! Ano mangyari? Biglang selective listening, di ba? Titigil yung mga yan. O, saan yung pizza? So that's an example of selective listening. Okay. Please type exclamation point if you're still with me and if you're agreeing with what I'm saying. That we are sometimes guilty of selective listening. Okay. Are you still there? Guys, make your presence felt, please. Exclamation point, so that I know that you're understanding what I'm saying. And also, if you're agreeing to what I'm saying, if you're not agreeing to what I'm saying, just type it on the chat box. Okay, lots of exclamation point. Thank you very much. So let's go on. Next, we sometimes take the other person's words literally. Literal listening is another hindrance for us to understand what the other person is saying. So in other words, if you ask your friend, "Uy, kamusta ka na?" or "How are you doing?" Tapos sabi niya, "Okay naman." But then, we feel and we see, because we're a good listener, nakita natin sa facial expression niya na hindi talaga siya okay. Well, I'm sure you're familiar with this scenario with your loved ones. Sometimes when you disagree, when the other person says, "Uy, ano bang problema? What's wrong?" And then, ang sagot mo, "Hindi, wala, nothing." Sabi nga ng mga lalaki, no, I just read a meme in Facebook a few days ago, matakot na daw ang mga boyfriend or ang mga babes pagka ang sagot ng girlfriend nila or wife nila kung may tinanong kung may problema at sinabing wala. Okay? Mas matakot ka daw doon. Mas huwag kang lumabas. Mas dapat pag-usapan. Okay? Because we shouldn't be taking everything that the other person is saying literally. Hindi porkit sinabing okay siya, okay siya. Papakiramdaman mo, empathize nga, di ba, with the other person. And that's one way of doing it. So don't take everything that what the other person is saying literally. Next would be filling in the gaps. We cannot understand what the other person is saying because we are excited to fill in the gaps. Ano ibig sabihin yan? I'm sure we have all done this as well. We supply whatever information na tingin natin, the other person is missing. Ay, hindi yan nasabi to. Okay. O, dapat ito, sasabihin mo, no? Sinong guilty sa ganun? May kausap ka, tapos yung feel mo, oh, nahirapan kang kumuha ng lisensya. Tama? Hindi mo pa pinapatapos eh. You're filling in the gaps. Sinasabi pa lang ng kausap ko, for example, you know what? I went to LTO, for example. And then, you fill in the gaps. Oh, nahirapan kang kumuha ng lisensya, di ba? But that's not the information that they want to say. So then, you lose that opportunity to understand the other person because you fill in the gap. Next would be projection. We are projecting our own experiences onto them very quickly. Nagkikwento pa lang, nagsasalita pa lang, sasabihin mo, uy, you know what, ganyan ako. Ganito yung nangyari sa akin. Ano ang ending? Ikaw na yung nagsalita. Okay? Thumbs up or type yes if you've experienced this. May mga nakausap na ba tayong ganon? Magsasalita ka pa lang, ang ending tuloy, siya yung nag-share, siya yung nag-project ng own world niya sa atin. So we should be conscious or aware of this to become an effective listener. Yan, marami nag-agree. No? May mga kausap tayong gano'n. Na ang ending sila yung nagkikwento imbis na ikaw. Minsan ikaw pa yung nag-initiate, pwede ka bang makausap, pero dahil nga they're excited to project their own experiences, their own feelings, their own attitude and so forth to the other person, that means that we are not listening well. Okay? So no to these elements. So next, how can we then increase our understanding? We need to ask questions. We need to ask questions. And what kind of questions? We should be asking open-ended questions, empathetic questions, confirmation questions, and probing questions. Not just questions answerable by yes or no, because you'll be having a hard time understanding, empathizing with the other person if answerable by yes or no lang yung tatanungin natin. So again, there are different kinds of questions. You just have to know when to use them. So what is an open-ended question? Anyone who knows the meaning of open-ended question, type it in the chat box. Ano ibig sabihin ng open-ended question? But kailangan, if you want to understand the other person, kailangan open-ended or preferred questions natin would be open-ended. What does open-ended question mean? So open-ended question, these are questions that are not answerable by yes or no. If we need to get, open to follow-up, sabi ni Gabriel, tama. It can still be answered, not answerable by yes or no from Monina. Yes, very good. Okay, so if you want to get more of their thoughts or what's going on in their mind, example would be, how are you feeling about this situation? Ano bang maitutulong ko sa'yo? Okay, at paano mo ba naintindihan yung mga pangyayari? Then you are giving the other person to be honest with her answer, and also she or he is giving you the chance to understand what he's going through. Okay. Next would be empathetic questions or empathic questions. These are questions that will make the other person feel that you're empathizing with him or her. So questions such as, did that make you feel sad? It might be a yes or no question, pero ano yung ginamit nating word doon that made it empathetic? It's the feeling, right? It's the sadness. It's your interest on how the other person feels. So that's an example of empathetic question. Next would be confirmation questions. As I've said a while ago, if you want to become an effective listener, you have also to confirm or respond accordingly or align with your facial expression, body language, and also with what the other person is saying. Okay, so confirmation questions would be something like, na-upset ka ba doon? Or is that something that upset you? That's a confirmation question. Because in your mind, iniisip mo, bakit ba siya na-upset sa bagay na to? Parang Maliit na bagay lang naman. So, para malinawan kayo dun, you have to ask a confirmation question. You have to confirm it. And last but not the least, probing questions. Okay. Probing questions, this is used when you want a deeper understanding of something. Okay. You have to probe a little bit. And of course, hindi po ito applicable sa lahat ng situation. Bakit? Kasi if you are not able to use it well, probing questions will be misunderstood as questions that starts chismis or grapevine communication, as they say. Ayaw naman natin yun. So magandang mag-probing questions if, for example, you're explaining a product and you feel that the customer wants to know more about the product but doesn't know how to ask you, probing questions ang magandang gamitin dyan. So again, I am giving you tips on what questions to use so that you gain more understanding of what the other person is saying. Okay, so we are now at number 3. First one, to become an effective listener is, sige, review lang tayo. Ano yung una natin? First way that I shared with you to become an effective listener, ano yung share ko kanina? First, you have to what? Very important. What do we need to do? We must choose to listen. Okay? Very good, Manina. Very good. Thank you. Good. You have to choose to listen. Number 2 would be, we have to what? Number 2, we have to pay attention. And number 3, we have to understand what is being said. We're on to number 4. Number 4, we have to, thank you very much for all those who's still answering up to now. Thank you for your participation. Understand, yay, happy ako. Maraming nakakuha. All right. Next, number 4 would be avoid jumping to advice giving in supportiveness. What are examples of this advice giving and supportiveness? Anong statements yan? Ganito lang yan. Dapat ginawa mo ganito. Wala yung problema. Di problema yan. At first glance, you might think, tama naman yun na, you're being positive. But then, this is another hindrance for you to become an effective listener. Kasi, ano mararamdaman mo? If in the middle of your conversation, naghihinga ka ng sama ng loob, or you're explaining a good experience perhaps, no? Not necessarily bad experience, basta nagkikwento ka, nakikipag-usap ka sa ibang tao, and then, i-interrupt ka, tapos sasabihin na, ganito lang yan. Hindi ka pa tapos. Dapat ganito ginawa mo. How would you feel? Can you tell me how would you feel? Ano mapapakiramdam yun? If the other person is trying to fix things right away, ina-advisean ka kaagad, anong nararamdaman natin nun? Nasasabihan na ba kayo or nakarinig na ba kayo ng conversation na sinasabi, pwede patapusin mo muna ako? Or pwede, ako yung nagsasalita. While the intention is good, you want to give advice right away, it hinders you from listening to the other person. Another hindrance would be, you should avoid showing supportiveness right away. Hindi basta-basta binibigay yan. Bakit? Bakit hindi natin kaagad binibigay yung supportiveness statements? Because sometimes it goes through as walang sincerity, di ba? Parang gusto mo nang ayusin agad. You become fixers and you don't want that because the other person will feel na, ay, parang she's telling me to stop it, for me to stop it. Nafu-frustrate na ata siya. Diba? Yun yung mga nasa isip natin. What else? If you feel that the other person is giving you advice and puro support, words of support agad yung sinasabi, hindi ka pa tapos. Ano pa? Hayaan mo muna, sabi ni Ramir, hayaan mo muna matapos bago ka magsalita. Agree, tama. Not to understand the entire scenario and jump into conclusions. So see, a lot of us really are guilty with this, And the key really to becoming an effective listener is alam mo na minsan ginagawa mo yun, or minsan yun nga, na-experience natin. Okay, so that's number 4. Avoid jumping to advice giving and supportiveness. Number 5, we should respond and not react. So you see here on my slide, how would you react when you are working from home and your child? Sino dito ang mga work from home? Okay? Exclamation point if you are working from home. Tignan ko nga gaano karami. There's 86 of you in this webinar session. Ilan sa inyo ang work from home? And dami. We have Mark, Ramiro, Honey, Lani J. Monina. Okay, we have Andami, Eduardo, Janet, Cleofe. 184 na po tayo as of now sa Zoom. So thank you very much. So sometimes work from home, sometimes hindi. Now, since a lot of you are working from home, how would you react when you are working from home tapos kinukulit ka ng iyong anak? Oh, let's play. Eh, you're in the middle of something eh. Kailangan na ni boss to eh. What's your worst reaction? Let's start with your worst reaction. What can be your worst reaction here? You are in the middle of something tapos kinukulit ka ni baby na makipaglaro. This is a learning, it's a safe environment, so you can type everything here. Diba? Wala namang makakalabas dito. I would also to acknowledge our viewers from YouTube and Facebook who are continuously reacting with me or interacting with me rather. Yung iba galit na galit, irritated, masisigawan. Yeah, this is being real, Ramil. Minsan nasisigawan natin yung anak natin. Nai-irritate, napapalo ang bata. Correct. We yell. Tarantatious, yes. Marami talaga sa atin natataranta. So that's a new word for us, tarantatious. Galit, minsan deadma, nasigawan ko. Yung ibang parents pa nagmumura. So, all of the above, all the things that you placed here, uy, mabait si Andrew, sabi niya, anak, nag-work si tatay, huwag kang maingay. Okay? So, almost all the things that you type in here is an example of reacting to the situation but not responding. And if we want to become a better listener, we have to respond, okay? Not react, but then respond. What's your best reaction now? Ayan. So may nagsabi naman dito, best reaction would be, yun nga, nag-work si tatay, huwag kang maingay. Okay, sabi naman ni Jane, we make promises we sometimes can't keep. Para lang tantanan ka muna. Oo, di ba? Mamaya bibigyan kita ng lechon. Tapos ka na nagtrabaho, wala pa ng lechon si baby, di ba? Good, that's true. What else? Later na muna, anak. Okay, good. So that's the best reaction. What else? Okay, so we have a good grasp of what this means. If we want to become better listeners, we need to respond and not react. O mamaya, mag-Jollibee tayo, sabi ni Mark. So then, how do we do this? We do this by thinking first, then acting by asking questions. Again, think first, hingang malalim. Bago tayo may masabi, bago tayo makasakit, bago natin maparamdam doon sa kausap natin na hindi tayo nakikinig, mag-isip muna tayo before we act and we ask questions. I gave you examples of what questions to ask. It depends on the situation. So it's not really jumping and giving them advice or jumping in and telling them your experiences, because those are examples of reacting to what they're saying. So instead of giving much thought to what you're going to say, stop and listen. Okay? And this can be used, the tips that I'm giving you, this can be used to any of the categories, your friends, your family, not only to your professional but personal life as well. Okay? So Alo said, I will make my daughter busy with toys or any activities. Bigyan ng libangan. Ayan, displacement of stress. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6 would be, you should continue to develop your skill. So for instance, after this session, you will have, I hope, and I believe that a lot of us will have a realization na I'm not being an effective listener pala. Okay? Masyado pala akong nagmamadaling magbigay ng advice, or masyado pala akong nagpe-pay attention sa toys, sa distractions. I'm not paying attention to him or to my friend or to whoever. If you have this realization and you're able to develop the listening skills slowly, you should continue to develop it. Because, listening skill doesn't happen by accident. Hindi rin yan nangyayari overnight. You cannot be good at it by accident. You have to continue to practice the skill of listening. Kasi you might really get focused at this for the next 30 days. Okay? After ng 1 month na continuous na ito yung gagawin ko, lahat ng tips na binigay ni Ms. Suzette, gagawin ko in 30 days. Bigla tayong may bagong project. Bigla tayong nabigyan ng bagong trabaho. Something major happened in your life. Okay? You might need to train someone, learn a new technology in the office. And then, these skills need to take a back seat. Kasi nga, ang gusto mo is ituloy-tuloy siya. Minsan, ganun rin tayo, di ba? Sisimulan ko siya, gusto ko pag may time na ako, yung magagawa ko siya ng dire-diretso. No. Just like exercise. If you say to yourself na, kailangan everyday ko siya gawin. Pag na-break yun, mawawalan ako ng gana. It's the same thing when you want to develop the listening skill. It is a continuous process. You might think, huwag yun na maisip na grabe yung assignment sa atin ni Suzette, forever pala natin itong gagawin, i-develop. Yes. Hanggang ngayon, I am also continuously developing this skill. And I urge you to do that because I know that it's going to make your life better. And if for any other reason na yung interaction nyo sa ibang tao, naging deep listener kayo, you gained more friends, you saved more time, ang dami nating natipid sa ating kumpanya, lalo ngayon cost cutting because you listened well and listened well enough. Yung mga benefits na e-enjoy nyo na, yun yung gusto kong mangyari sa inyo. So you need to really practice, and practice. So that's number 6. Now we go to number 7. You have to be aware of your listening style. And it's in the acronym PACT. Okay? Hulaan nga natin kung ano-ano itong mga listening style na ito. Nababutin tayo ng bukas. No? So P stands for, some people, they have this tendency to listen to people well, no? Yun yung forte nila. Yung kahit na may kakwentuhan sila ng 2 hours, 3 hours, okay lang sa kanila because they are people-oriented listeners. We have naman action-oriented listeners. We have content-oriented listeners and time-oriented listeners. So, example natin itong mga listeners na to. When you say action-oriented listeners, what does that mean? Kayo, no? As I explained this, assess yourself. Are you more of a people? Is your tendency PAC or the action-oriented listeners would be, you listen well when it's about the steps that's being explained to you. Ano yung mga dapat gawin or dapat makita ko to? No? Content-oriented listeners refers to the listeners who can converse with another person pagtungkol sa laman ng sinasabi ang gusto nilang i-focus. That's content-oriented listeners. And we have time-oriented listeners. Ito naman yung laging hindi nagmamadali, but always conscious with the time. When you are conversing with someone, sa dami siguro ng ginagawa niyo, you're always, or your tendency is to become a time-oriented listener. Now, I don't want you to box yourself with these types of listening styles. We have tendencies to be any of this. Meron lang umaangat na isa. Isa specific naman itong acronym na to. So you can, yun na, sabi ko sa inyo, pag meron yung nakakatsikahan kayo ng matagalan, it's probably because both of you are people-oriented listeners, di ba? Now, that's the reason why, or that explains why sometimes you want to converse with people who you like, yung gusto mo mas matagal, di ba? So now I want you to assess yourself, write down or have it imprinted in your mind kung ano yung tendencies mo. Are you people-oriented? Your tendency, people-oriented ka ba? Action-oriented, content, or time? And then adjust it depending on the situation and also kung sino yung kausap natin. Okay? Just to give you an example. Let's say, for example, an IT expert. It's not generalizing or labeling the following professional workers, but let's just, for the sake of argument and also for the sake of this webinar, for us to better understand the different listening styles. Ano sa palagay ninyo ang listening style ng IT expert? Okay. IT expert, ano kaya siya? Action-oriented? People-oriented kaya siya? Ay, time-oriented kaya siya? Ano sa tingin ninyo? IT expert. Kindly write it or type it in the chat box. Action-oriented says Elaine. Content says Faye. Action says Grace. Kiana says action. Okay, ano pa? Sige, keep it coming. Alright, so I see a lot of content here. May konting action. The correct answer is content-oriented. Okay? Content-oriented. Ano ba ang kailangan mo sa computer mo? Anong app ba ang kailangan mo? Ano ba ang problema? Content. Ang kailangan sa isip nila. While second tendency, perhaps I would have to agree, action. But ang nananaig dito sa IT experts would be content. Thank you very much for participating, guys. Next would be, what about service crew? Yung mga kumukuha ng order natin sa McDonald's, sa Jollibee, ano kaya ang listening style nila? Okay? Service crew. Service crew is action, okay? Anong madalas na nakikita natin pag bumibili tayo? Ngayon, lalo na ngayon, drive-thru tayo, di ba? When we look at, when you really stop and look at how the service crew work, paano sila magtrabaho? Correct, Keanu said, time-oriented. Andre said, time and action-oriented. Action and time, action and people is correct. Time-oriented ang mga service crew. Kasi di ba gutom na mga customers yan. So pag makikita mo, lagi sila, makikinig yan sa'yo pag bigay mo ng order sa kanila, 20 minutes willing to wait, ay talagang mamadaliin nila yan. And most of the time, tayong mga customers, ganyan, di ba? Nagmamadali parate. So service crew has that tendency of a time-oriented listener. Okay, next would be, what about a sports coach? Ano kaya ang tendency nila? Sports coach. Let's see. Pag nanonood tayo ng PBA, for example, tayong volleyball, sino ba dito mga mahilig manood ng volleyball? Nakikita natin, di ba, pinofocus ang mga coaches. So, what is their listening style? Looking at them. Action-oriented is correct. Gusto nila action. Ito yung gagawin natin. Ito yung kailangan nating i-apply na play. And when the players are interacting with them, hindi mo naman sinasabi na, Coach, ikikwento ko muna yung nangyari last game. Hindi, di ba? Kasi ang sports coach, action-oriented yan, lalo na pag game time na. So correct, nakuha halos ng lahat. lahat. What about a social worker? Lalo na in this time of the pandemic, hats off really to our frontliners, especially our social workers who deal with depressed people, frustrated, mga may galit sa mundo. I really have much appreciation for you guys. So social worker, their listening style is people-oriented. So you're getting the hang of it. So you have to use this power to really be sensitive. What kind of a listener is this person that I'm talking with? Right? And then you adjust your listening style to that person. Same thing with different communication styles, which I will be explaining to you in the one-day workshop of strengthening interpersonal communication. Tutuloy natin yan. And so, you're getting the hang of it na. So that's number 7. We have to be aware of our listening style. We go to number 8. Number 8 is listen at least twice as much as you speak. Stephen Covey has this to say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You have to use them accordingly. So before blurting out something, think about it. So that you'll be avoiding to say things that you really wish you hadn't. Sana hindi ko to sinabi. Galit lang ako nun eh. Again, respond, do not react. Listen first and listen at least twice as much as you speak. And if you're listening a while ago before, in the early part of the webinar session, as I've said, 125 words per minute, kaya natin. But when we listen, we're capable of 4 times pa. Kaya nga tayo biniyayaan ng 2 ears and 1 mouth. Ibig sabihin, mas makikinig dapat tayo kaysa pag mas magsasalita. Remember, if you say the wrong thing, people will remember it. Sabi nga nila, the other person might forget what you've said, but that person will not forget how you made them feel. Totoong-totoo yan. Nakalimutan ko na yung sinabi, pero ewan ko ba, galit ako sa taong yan. Or nakalimutan ko na yung sinabi niya, pero nakikita ko siya, natandaan ko pa yung pinaramdam niya sa akin. Tinulungan niya ako nung wala akong face mask at face shield nung pandemic. So see, again, we have to listen twice as much as we speak. Okay. Next, number 9 would be delay evaluation until you get them everything they want to say. Same as advice giving, same as supportiveness. Don't evaluate the situation right away. Okay. Minsan, we are trying to discuss as a team, even at work. Minsan merong isa dyan magsasabi, grabe, ba't naman ganyan agad yung suggestion mong gawin natin para tumaas ang sales natin? Or ba't naman kailangan magtanggal ng tao? For example lang, just sharing with you examples that are happening now in organizations. Ang daming challenges ngayon ng iba't ibang organizations natin, di ba? And then, bakit kasi pinag-uusapan pa yan? Okay, so delay evaluation. You can evaluate everything that's happening once the other person is done with what he or she is saying. Okay? Let's not be quick to evaluate. And last but not the least, we have to summarize because it's a sign of active listening. Summarizing what the other person is saying is a good indicator of you as an effective listener. Now, if I told you, kunwari kanina bago tayo nagsimula, sinabi ko sa inyo, guys, you have to listen to me because later on, pag natapos to, paparecitein ko kayo isa-isa kung ano yung 10 ways of becoming an effective listener. I'm sure mas nakinig sana kayo. But of course, I don't have that expectation right now. Again, my expectation really is for you to choose to develop that listening skill, to be really effective at it, and you've done the first step. Okay. Again, the 10 ways to become an effective listener will come in handy. You can take a screenshot of it para maalala natin yung isa-isa. And most importantly, when you want to summarize, you need to know how to provide feedback. You will let the other person feel that you understood him or her by providing feedback. And it's also a way of summarizing what you heard. Okay? So, kung provide ka ng feedback, what I got from what you said is this or are this. And what I can say is I appreciate the first information that you gave. However, I suggest that we do this, okay, kung ano may suggestion nyo, and then, again, confirm or provide the first information that you gave. Ibig sabihin yan, hindi ka diretsyo nag-provide ng feedback. For example, it's a negative feedback. That's what we call a sandwich technique. And I will also be digging deep into this in the whole day seminar. So please do register or providing feedback the proper way. And we will be doing drills as well. Next, you also, if you paraphrase, that's a form of summarizing as well. And mind you, paraphrasing is not repeating verbatimly kung ano yung sinasabi ng kausap mo na word per word. No. Paraphrasing is using different words, pero it's giving the same meaning. Okay? And last but not the least, always repeat to confirm. And I always tell this to my daughter. My daughter is 25 years old. But then, this is one element that I would like her to master. Kasi tignan nyo, no, kahit sa mga anak nyo, share nyo to, minsan hindi kasi sila gumagawa ng tawag nating check back eh. Walang check back. So pag, kunwari, simple, no, inutusan mong bumili ng suka sa tapat ng bahay ninyo. Aalis na lang, no? Minsan nakaharap pa sa phone. Okay ma, diretso na, bili ng suka. Pagbalik, ano yung binili? Hindi suka or ibang brand ng suka. It's because walang check back or the other person or your daughter, your son did not repeat it. So always practice summarizing what you heard, summarizing the instructions, and there will be a lot of benefits if you do so. A long information typed here by Angela Marie. Bayon to everyone. I'm sure you've been reading it. Ngayon ko lang siyang babasa. Choose to listen, pay attention, understand. Okay, diba? Memorize na yung 10. Congratulations, Angela Marie Bayon. I'm sure that a lot of you have taken down notes and also did the screenshot. Please keep this and include it in your toolbox. And it will come in handy and you will notice yourself becoming an effective communicator because you listen well. Okay. So what is the biggest puzzle now regarding listening? So ano yung biggest puzzle? Meaning to say, ano yung pinakakailangan dapat natin aside from, ano yung una kong sinabi, what's the first one? You have to choose to listen. Okay, so we chose to listen, but then we're not committed to doing steps on how to improve listening. Kahit na sinabi ko na ngayong webinar na to, if you do nothing to improve, then everything will go to waste. So what I want you to do now really is to assess yourself and see or think of situations wherein you didn't listen very well, and then make a choice starting today to change it. Okay? Slowly but surely. And I want you also to write down or type in the chat box, what are you committed to do to improve your listening skills? Okay. Ano yung commitment mo sa akin, given that we've spent an hour and 20 minutes together? What do you commit for you to improve your listening skills? Okay, type it in the chat box. There are no right or wrong answers here. I just want to hear it from you. Looking at or hearing all the different ways that you can become an effective listener and also giving you a bit of time to assess yourself. Ano kaya ang pwede ninyong gawin? Practice what we have learned. That's very good, Cleofe. Again, it's a part of developing this skill. You cannot say, I'll start next week para diretso na to. Okay? Kasi pag naudlot yun, wala na, sisimulan mo na naman hanggat sa tatamarin ka na. Do what we learn, correct? I commit to delay reaction. Very good. And instead of delaying the reaction, what should we do? We need to master the art of responding. Okay? Just to a review of what we've talked about. I commit to these 10 ways to improve listening, says Angela. Practice what we learn. I-apply mo sa sarili mo kung ano ang dapat. Ramir, no, I have to agree with you. Simulan mo sa sarili mo or simulan mo sa household ninyo. Kung nahihiya ka pa medyo dun sa work, gamitin yan, hindi ka pa comfortable, you can start with your family and friends first. Okay, Andrew said, listen at least twice as much as I speak and continue to develop my listening skill. Very good. Apply what I've learned. Practice. Be more considerate with the time expected with the person. Integrate the ways of effective listening to our lifestyle. Very good. So again, the listening styles that I've shared with you, PACT, it will really come in handy, especially pag nakikita mo na ay time-oriented itong kausap ko. I have to talk fast. But so given this type of listening skill, kailangan direct to the point yung sasabihin ko. If it's a people-oriented type of listener, sisimulan ko muna yan. Magkikwento muna ako. I will ask how his day went. If action-oriented, so see the power of adjusting your listening styles. Okay? So that ends our webinar session this afternoon. Again, many thanks to our viewers in YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom as well. Thank you for actively participating. And this is my challenge to you. I wish I could call each one of you and check if you're really doing or practicing it to improve your listening skills. Sabi ni Eric, less talk, less mistake. So good luck, everyone, as you journey on to your dream of becoming an effective listener, which will result to you having strong interpersonal communication skills. If you want to join me, please do join me on November 26th, Strengthening Interpersonal Communication Skills session. For a longer session, we'll be doing exercises there. I can entertain more questions there kasi marami tayong oras. Maraming salamat. You can reach me via Facebook, of course, via Limitless Power Coach or through Limitless Power Coach. I also have an Instagram account, Success by SCS, and my email address is shopnosuzette@gmail.com. Upcoming webinars, I have one on November 20, Reinventing Leadership in Today's VUCA World. That will be on November 20, 9 to 12. And then I also have, as I've mentioned, on November 26, Strengthening Interpersonal Communication Skills in the New Normal, 3 to 5 p.m. And I would like to see every one of you also register and attend my upcoming webinars. Thank you very much. And also my apologies with the technical difficulty a while ago. I wish you a happy Friday and a happy weekend. I will also have time to entertain questions. If you have questions, just type it in. I can answer them. Okay, thank you also. A lot of thank yous. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous here. Maraming salamat din po. Okay, any questions? Okay. Okay, so looks like there are no more questions. Again, limit to 3 questions tayo, okay? You can start asking question now. Thank you from Colegio San Agustin Bacolod Nursing Program. Hello and you're welcome. Can we have a copy of your presentation, ma'am? We have to coordinate this with LPC or Limitless Power Coach. Lou, please coordinate them. Thank you very much. Okay. Makabuluhang webinar. Thank you, Eduardo. Right. Thank you. Okay, so no more questions. Sure, going once, Going twice? All right, thank you very much. Wala nang questions. Thank you also, Rachel. Yeah. Oh, we have one. May pahabol. May pahabol. What is the difference of hearing and listening? As I mentioned a while ago, hearing is just a sense. No? Sense lang siya. One of your senses. Ano ba yung mga senses natin? Sense of sight, sense of feeling, sense siya ang hearing. But listening involves, it's a process, as I've mentioned. It involves a mental process. And it doesn't happen overnight. When you listen not only to the sound, but to the voice, to the words, to the body language of the other person that you're talking to. Okay, so that is listening. Okay. Okay, so one question. Any other questions? Okay, may e-certificate po ba? Again, a Limitless Power Coach will be able to answer that. Okay. For those of you who were late coming in, you can view the replay of this via Limitless Power Coach in YouTube videos. Okay, pwede natin doon makita. May I invite everyone also for a group photo here in Zoom before we end. So please, dito lang kayo. We'll have our picture taken. When you keep silent, it's a sign of communication skill, right? Just like, so Andrew, to answer your question, just like the art of listening, the art of keeping silent is also one of the elements that can help you be a good communicator. However, there's only a certain number of minutes that the other person will appreciate you being silent. So kung halimbawa you are processing what the other person is saying bago ka magbigay ng advice, bigyan mo naman siya ng body language to let the other person know that you're thinking, or don't need to talk, but reassure or assure that person that you are processing things. So healthy silence naman ang tawag doon. So that's a part of communication skill, yes. Okay. LPC admin has already answered the questions regarding the e-certificate. Thank you very much again. And may I please ask everyone to please turn on your camera in Zoom for our picture taking. Turn on lang yung camera natin sa Zoom so we can have our picture taken. I hope my video works. Okay, go.